Everyone's eyes dropped to her shoes the moment she stepped into the interview hall. The leather was peeling, one sole barely hanging on. A quiet chuckle escaped from the corner. Then another. Soon, whispers spread, 33 polished candidates, all immaculately dressed, watching as Anna took her seat in silence. She knew what they saw, broken shoes. What they didn't know was the story behind them. For months, Anna had been working double shifts, saving every penny, not for herself, but to cover her little brother's school fees and her mother's medication. A new pair of shoes had never been a priority. The panel fired questions. Others boasted about achievements, certificates, and foreign trips. When it was Anna's turn, she spoke simply, about leading a small neighborhood project to feed homeless families, about balancing caregiving with work, about perseverance. Her voice trembled at first, but then grew steady. The CEO, silent until then, leaned forward. "One final question," he said. "Why didn't you buy new shoes for today?" The room erupted in muffled laughter again. Anna flushed but answered honestly. "Because I had more important things to spend on. My family needed it more." Silence. Then, a slow clap. It was the CEO. "Out of 33 candidates, I choose her," he announced. "Because skill can be taught, but compassion cannot." That day, Anna walked out still wearing torn shoes, but with an offer letter that would change her family's future. And everyone who had laughed learned a lesson they'd never forget. The room went quiet when Anna walked in. Every candidate wore crisp suits, polished shoes, and perfect smiles. Anna wore a thrift store blouse, a borrowed blazer, and shoes with torn soles that flapped slightly as she walked. A couple of people laughed under their breath. She pretended not to hear. She had promised herself not to shrink that day. This was the chance she had worked toward for years, studying by candlelight after night shifts, supporting her younger siblings, keeping the family afloat after her father's passing. Clothes had never been the priority. Food and school fees always came first. As the interviews began, others spoke about internships abroad, their elite universities, their glowing resumes. When Anna's turn came, she told a different story, about starting a tutoring group in her neighborhood so kids wouldn't fall behind in school, about organizing a food drive during winter, about never missing work despite challenges. The panelists listened. Some looked surprised. Then came the CEO's question. "Why show up in shoes like that? You knew this was an interview." The room tensed. Some candidates smirked. Anna inhaled deeply. "Because I don't believe in hiding who I am. My shoes are worn out, yes, but they carried me through every struggle that brought me here today. They remind me of why I keep going." The CEO paused, then nodded slowly. "Out of 33 candidates, I choose her." The laughter died instantly. Anna left that building still in broken shoes, but she walked taller than ever. She had been chosen not despite them, but because of what they represented: strength, honesty, and humanity. Anna felt every stare when she stepped into the hall. 33 candidates looked her up and down, their sharp suits and polished shoes in stark contrast to hers, scuffed leather, with a tear on the side that exposed her sock. A whisper. A chuckle. Then a few giggles she couldn't ignore. But Anna lifted her chin. She hadn't come here to impress with appearances. She had come with something no resume could fully explain. The interview dragged on for hours. Others spoke confidently of their travels, their leadership camps, their expensive training programs. When it was Anna's turn, she admitted she had none of those. Instead, she spoke of spending her evenings teaching neighborhood kids math for free, because their parents couldn't afford tutors. She spoke of saving money from her cashier job to buy medicine for her sick mother, and of patching together meals when there wasn't enough. One interviewer frowned. "Why didn't you at least invest in proper shoes? Surely you knew how important today was." Anna's voice trembled but didn't break. "I did know. But my brother needed textbooks this month, and my mother's prescription ran out last week. If I had to choose between new shoes for me or essentials for them, I'll always choose them." The room fell silent. The CEO leaned forward, his expression unreadable. Then he smiled. That's the kind of leader I want here. Out of all 33, she's my choice. The applause that followed wasn't for her resume, it was for her heart. The laughter stung, though Anna didn't let it show. She could hear the whispers as she walked across the sleek marble floor. Did you see her shoes? The sole of one flapped with every step, betraying her. She sat, clutching her folder, remembering why she was here. For years she had worked small jobs, cleaning offices at dawn, waiting tables until midnight, just to help her younger siblings stay in school. She hadn't had the luxury of buying herself new clothes. Yet she had never stopped learning, reading borrowed books, sharpening her skills for this very chance. As the interviews progressed, candidates bragged about awards and projects. When it was her turn, Anna spoke softly but firmly. She told them about leading a group of neighbors to repair a community park, about negotiating with local stores for food donations, about working through exhaustion but never giving up. The panel listened, but the CEO's question cut deeper than any laugh. Why should I take you seriously if you couldn't even come prepared? He asked, glancing at her shoes. Anna swallowed hard. Because my worth is not in what I wear, but in what I've done, and what I'm willing to do. These shoes may be torn, but they carried me through every challenge life threw my way. They are proof I won't give up. For a long moment, silence. Then the CEO stood. That's resilience. That's the person I want. In that instant, her shoes no longer symbolized poverty. They symbolized courage. From the moment Anna walked in, her shoes became the room's cruel joke. Worn-out leather, split at the toe, taped at the heel. Snickers echoed as she crossed the room. 33 sharp competitors, all watching, all judging. Anna sat quietly, clutching her notes. She told herself to breathe. She hadn't come this far to break now. The questions rolled on. Candidates boasted of MBA degrees, fluent French, volunteer trips to Europe. When her turn came, she admitted she had none of those privileges. But she spoke about organizing free meals for families during the pandemic, about training young girls in her neighborhood to code on second-hand laptops, about choosing responsibility over comfort every single day. Her sincerity caught the panel off guard. Still, one manager scoffed. If you can't afford shoes, how will you manage in a company like ours? The room chuckled again. Anna's cheeks burned. But she answered calmly. Because my value doesn't depend on shoes. My sacrifices built resilience. My struggles built empathy. And both are qualities no paycheck can buy. Silence fell. The CEO, who had been listening intently, suddenly rose. Enough, he said. Out of 33 candidates, I choose her. Gasps. Stares. No one laughed now. Skills can be trained, the CEO continued. But integrity and heart cannot. Those torn shoes are proof she knows sacrifice, and that's exactly who I want leading here. Anna walked out still in broken shoes. But for the first time, she realized they weren't a weakness. They were her crown. Anna's entrance was anything but smooth. The torn shoes betrayed her before she even spoke, drawing laughter and whispered remarks. 33 candidates sat polished and perfect. She looked out of place from the start. But Anna carried with her a quiet strength. Life had never been easy. Since her father's passing, she had become the backbone of her family, working late shifts to pay bills while caring for her mother and younger brother. New shoes had simply never mattered when survival did. The interview began. The first candidate flaunted international internships. Another listed expensive certifications. One even bragged about connections within the company. Anna waited her turn, palms sweaty, heart pounding. Finally, she was called. She didn't have glamour, so she spoke of grit. She told the panel how she once organized a study circle for local kids so they wouldn't fall behind in school, how she balanced caregiving with work without missing deadlines, how she believed leadership was about serving others, not titles. The CEO, who had listened silently, finally asked, "Why come here in shoes like that? Didn't you think appearance mattered?" Anna's voice was steady. "Appearance fades. Character stays. I spent my money where it mattered most. on my family's needs. If that disqualifies me, then perhaps I'm not what you're looking for." The room went still. Then, the CEO smiled. "No, you're exactly who we're looking for. Out of 33, I choose her." Anna left with the same torn shoes, but also with something far greater, proof that compassion, honesty, and perseverance will always outshine appearances.